I guess we'll do part 4, finish up this video with this guy. I don't think he's going to say anything different. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll do it and then maybe we'll read some comments or something on his video. His comments on my video are not all that interesting. So anyway.
There's an interesting, sublime, amazing process going on, and we do not know how it's going to end. But
oh, whatever. Yeah, it's an amazing process, right? There's a bunch of organisms on planet Earth that have basically evolved into a gladiator war, a battle to see who can eat who first and the most efficiently. It's just a bunch of consuming worms, and some of them have little different radars and little different missiles and little different tools, and you want to call that amazing. Well, whatever. I guess it depends on what you know, from a 4-year-old's perspective, somebody speaking complete sentences is amazing. But it's really not amazing, is it? No, it isn't.
I think ultimately the reason why there are not so many antinatalists around, ultimate ultra pessimists, is that we are amazed by this process and we just prefer to participate in it.
Right, and you're totally unreasonable and impervious to logic, and we can see that all over the place. I've already given examples, but yeah, the way you devalue this thing you think you call precious and then you run it over on the street. I mean, you're just such frauds and hypocrites and liars. You say you care, you don't care. You say it's unacceptable and you accept it. So yeah, you're just frauds and fakes and phonies. And then when somebody sits there and spells it out for you pretty clearly, this is evolution, here it is, you pretend you're going to transcend it. Fine. Faker.
It's nevertheless wrong, and I agree with Inmendham that we should appreciate the sacrifice of all living things, and in fact we should be horrified.
Oh yeah, well, you should appreciate. See, again, it's just lip service. You just keep giving lip service to things. We should be upset that we had World War I. Well, let's have World War II. We should be upset we had World War II. You know, you're never upset. You never fix anything. You never do anything about anything, because you're all just selfish, ignorant cunts. Really, it's not complicated.
All the suffering, and by, as I put it, nature's undeadness.
Nature's undeadness. Again, you know. So what am I supposed to do but laugh? Okay, this is you're telling me this is why people don't agree with Inmendham. Yeah, well, people don't agree with Inmendham because guess what? Yeah, Inmendham's not going to say something as stupid as swimming in the undead sea of make-believe, fun, lost, gone forever. Bingo, bingo. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk gibberish.
The fact that there's no mind
or
behind
think
it all.
it.
So it's often a disgusting and terrifying, anxiety-inducing.
Well, that's all kind of irrelevant. All you have to do is just stop at. It's often disgusting in terms of its value waste, in terms of the amount of sentience wasted. Okay, it's precious commodities controlled by crude forces. Precious commodities, crude forces. Precious commodities, crude forces. That isn't complicated. Anything intelligent will say, well, that's not a good plan. That's not a good crude forces. That's not a good babysitter. You don't leave the sentient creatures in the hands of the crude forces. Duh.
World that we're part of, but there's more to it than just that dark side.
Says you, right? And what are you going to say it with? Here we go. There is let's hear here's the big punchline, everybody. Are you ready? Big punchline coming.
Possibility of a constructive, a light side. For example,
shining city on a hill. Isn't that what Ronald Reagan promised? Shining city on a hill. All the boats will be floated. It will all live in the shining city on a hill. Yeah. Voodoo philosophy. Sorry, no sale.
Versus animalism. I mean, we sort of we prefer to be people than animals, and we just cast our lot in with.
Well, you really don't want to be doing that when it's time to go to bed, okay? You know, you could tell a little woman, I'm going to be a people. I think she wants the animal to show up.
With this higher form of life, we try to be as personal as we can, as civilized as we can. Our laws, our culture, our...
Yeah, I think we have been trying. That's the whole point. The human race has been trying, and it dismally fails. And the civilized people figure out that, yeah, this is really messy, sloppy, dangerous. Let's not screw with it. They don't have a whole bunch of kids. And who does have all the kids? Oh, that's right, the recklessly ignorant mother... The recklessly ignorant... All right, because they don't appreciate the risk, they don't appreciate the harm, they don't appreciate the danger, and they don't educate their kids. You know, I mean, the schools here now have to serve kids dinner because the parents can't serve them breakfast, they can't handle serving them lunch, and they can't handle serving their own kids dinner. I mean, why do we let people like that have kids? I mean, if you can't even feed your kid one fucking meal a day, you really don't, you're not entitled.
Artificial environment replaces the wilderness and civilizes us to some extent. We prefer to be part of that new way of...
So we. What we are you talking about? Oh yeah, minority just as small as the antinatalist minority. So by your own standards of legitimacy and credibility, your theory is just as incredible and nonsensical and useless. By your own standards of judgment. Alright? Yeah, why doesn't the rest of the world behave as you say, buddy? Why aren't they doing what you're talking? Why aren't they walking the walk that you're talking? Oh, that's right, because you're a failure. So there, you're in the same, you know, loser, judge thyself.
Living, we don't know how it's going to end, but we think...
Well, whatever, you think we. What is this? Who is the we again you're talking about? An elitist minority of fucktards who do blogs on the internet or something? What's your group? The group of undead godderers? Undead godderers? Is that who you're talking about? Your little clique? Yeah, of undead godderers? Is that what you mean by we?
Better than the animalistic cycle of life, and it would be a crying shame to put it to an end. Because
a crying shame to give up on worms. Yeah, worms have such potential. I mean, gee, just wait till the worms have radar and X-ray vision and laser beam sighting for their spit glands. I mean, that's all you're doing. You're just saying, "Oh, just wait. We can get even more malicious and insidious in how we kill." Do you think drones are cool? Just wait, okay? We're going to have little implanted nanobots that will blow up in a terrorist's head. Yeah, we'll blow up terrorists like with nanobots. It'll be so cool. Fuck you.
Just as we see value in living all sentient things, we should see such value. We see how precious.
Yeah, you keep talking about the precious gladiator war. So you're like some guy back in the old Colosseum days when they watched the blood sport and they all showed up and ate their popcorn. And you're just saying, no, keep the gladiator war alive. No, it's a tradition. We've been gladiatoring for so long. Yeah, why would you give up on something so perfectly sensible as watching things rip each other to pieces? It's just so cool. Yeah, and then you're going to tell me that you're sensitive and that you care. Liar. I mean, really, there's no other word for it except liar. What do you care? We should be more sensitive. We should be more sensitive. I don't have any obligation to be. We just should be. I mean, isn't that convenient? We shouldn't have World War III. There, I've satisfied my ethical obligations. I said we shouldn't. There, I'm done now, right? Now I can do whatever the fuck I want because I've satisfied all my obligations. No, I don't think you've done a damn thing.
Personhood is, and culture is, and artificiality is. The things that we prefer to have ourselves around us, unless maybe we're outdoors people. We.
What? You and the other ignorant creatures called human on Earth? The slobs, the pigs, the polluters, the abusers, the exploiters? Is that the we you're talking about? They're the ones that agree with you.
Machines and our laws and morality around us. We feel much more at home in the world that we create for ourselves as opposed to the world that's fit for animals, for many of the reasons that...
Yeah, right. They're fit for ourselves. That's where we throw the old people in the home. Yeah, that's what they're fit for. We get you. Yeah, this is just such a crock of shit. We export there's lots of jobs we don't like to do. So, yeah, let's export them to those people over there. Yeah, let them get their arms cut off. Let them get, asbestosis and all that other shit.
Inmendham gives. But we do not want to put an end to that because it is basically unnatural. It's anomalous. It's not quite supernatural in the metaphysical way, but it almost might as well be, frankly. Personhood, mentality.
Whatever, personhood mentality. Again, so this elitist crapola that somehow you're doing something more significant, because you can call yourself a person. I can say the word person, therefore I'm much cooler than a gorilla. You're not. You're not doing anything cooler. Trust me.
Culture, technology, that does make us godlike. I'm sorry, but that is the case. We are creators.
Oh yeah, whatever. This isn't exactly my image of God. Okay, yeah, sorry, no sale. You look like you belong in, like the loser on TV or something. This is some actor guy who's always a loser. yeah. You're like the poster child.
We are godlike creators compared to the other animals. We do not have the wisdom.
Yeah, right, yeah. Godlike creators of what? Waste, inefficiency, mess, brutality. Yes, we've created lots of brutality. Bravo for us.
I agree with Inmendham on this. Really, to use our tools to their full effect, or to
even come close. There hasn't been anything, a human being hasn't done a decent thing on this planet unless they get paid to do it, unless there's some money in it, some way to get some graft out of it. Okay, it's all got insidious, selfish strings tied to all of it. So this is all little girl talk.
We cannot guarantee a good end to everything that we're doing because we're not godlike in terms of our wisdom.
Yeah, and there's absolutely no evidence. Again, what evidence is there in all of human history of the fact that you're going to get anywhere but failure? Oh yeah, there's no evidence.
Technology evolves or progresses much more than society does. That's true. Much more than our characters progress.
Again, I'd say your characters haven't progressed at all. You go back to ancient Greece and they had more character than the average American, I think. I think quite obviously the intellectuals always did anyway. And it's always been that way, right? It seems like it's always been that way. There's a few decent human beings, a few clever ones, but the masses, the breeding ignorant masses, are crap. And most of the things they spawn are shit. Yes, crap spawns shit. And that is the name of the human race.
But there's something relatively unnatural and anomalous and strange and weird going on.
Well, that's just a lie, okay? I mean, it's perfectly logical that the little bots, the little machines, okay, as they evolve, that the tools would get more and more sophisticated, that the arrows would be pointier, that their navigation systems would be more precise. So the fact that we have become more articulate in terms of modeling our environment and creating strategies to navigate it, even, this capacity to communicate with each other, to do it in a gang manner, is not surprising at all.
With culture and human beings, with history. I mean, we have created a world within a world, and we have a lot of control over it.
You have no control over the agenda engine, and so that's the nonsensical part of your whole little speech here. You are not going to change the necessity of an agenda engine, and that's going to be visceral and crude and preposterously illogical, because there's no logical reason to create needs that don't need to exist, agendas that don't need to be satisfied. Logic doesn't do that.
Do over our minds and ourselves, autonomy, and it's just it would be to deprive the universe wouldn't care one way or the other whether we live or die because it's not alive. But it just it would be, I mean, Inmendham let's talk about again that press the start button on life, and we should be horrified to start that, to take responsibility for all the suffering. If we were gods and we were going to had a button to start all life evolving on Earth, knowing all the suffering that would happen, he says we should not press the button. But likewise, I would say, if we had the button to terminate all life, and in particular human beings and culture, again, all that higher form of life, if we would have that button to end it, to press the stop button, to actually push that button, it would be the ultimate evil act. That's the problem with anti-natalism.
Yeah, well, whatever. The ultimate evil act as not described by anything called logic. Okay, only evil in your perception. Okay, like a Tyrannosaurus is like Tyrannosauruses, and yes, flatworms have sex with flatworms. I'm pretty sure. So you think there needs to be slug sex because you're a slug. And that's all it is. It's just a bigotry. It's a silly notion in your head. You can't describe anything outside of your fucking head. Okay? Any silly notion outside of your frickin' head that explains what purpose is served. Again, just like no one's missing the Martians and no one's missing the Venetians. Why aren't they doing that? Oh, that's right, because we're bigoted, narrow-minded, self-serving, selfishly motivated, selfishly agenda-driven organisms, and you simply can't realize that fact.
You get caught up in all the suffering that's going on, and you lose sight of
the suffering is the only thing that your sight should be on, actually. Everything else you are citing, everything else you are looking at is delusionary mush. It's frickin', it's synthetic crap that your brain, it's a delusion in your brain of some grand purpose or grand accomplishment or grand beauty or grand magnificent thing. It's just crap in your brain. Just like one human being can want to be the king of the curlers, and another human being can want to be the best tap dancer, or another human being can want to have the pointiest ears. It just doesn't. It's just bullshit. You want to pretend it means something, then go ahead and pretend, but that's all you're doing. You're living a lie.
The virtually miraculous things as well. The fact that it's not all just the animalistic game, or whatever you want to call it.
Virtually miraculous. No, it is all the game. They're all just tools. Again, you want to deny evolution, go ahead and deny evolution, but that's all you're doing. They're just tools. A scheming brain is just a tool, like a big fist, or like big teeth, or like sonar. It's a tool.
The animalistic nightmare, evolutionary life, the brutal struggle for survival, the competition, natural selection. It's not all that.
That's entirely what it all is, and there's every evidence that we've dragged that into almost every other sphere of human conduct. Again, right now they're conducting the Olympic Games. What do you think that is? Okay, what 100 people will walk away the champion, and how many millions of lives were wasted for that? How many failures? How many people wasted time? Instead of reading about how to cure cancer or doing something else, they were sitting out there on the old shooting range trying to, knock down a soda can or some other kind of bullshit because they wanted to be the best runner-shooter guy or whatever the fuck thing they're doing in the Olympics now. So get real, silly person. Competition is everywhere.
Also, the relatively miraculous, emergent phenomenon of culture, personhood, self-control.
Culture, personhood, self-control. None of these words mean anything, especially culture, but I mean even self-control. What is that? Oh, you mean idea control. Oh, you mean memes. Oh, read Dawkins.
Reason, art, creativity.
Babble, bullshit, nonsense, mush.
That kind of higher nobility,
Right. You might as well just talk about how you like women with big breasts or a big fat ass, and then say to me that's somehow an objective truth, that fat asses are objectively beautiful, and we should build a big giant. We should carve a big fat ass into the moon to prove how much we love fat ass, and that fat ass is the most magnificent thing that ever existed in the universe. And then have all the, if there was anybody in the universe, we could invite them to the showing, and they could all come here and laugh at us for being the silliest, stupidest thing that ever existed, to think this really was the truth, that somehow your perception of beauty meant something, that stupid aesthetics meant something. I mean, really, how silly are you going to get? You don't have much time, so yeah, go for it.
That rebellion against the animalistic struggle, because that's what we're doing. We're refusing to play to be animals. We're doing our own thing. That is rebellion. That's it.
Sorry, you're not doing your own thing when you're saying, I gotta have kids, I gotta have kids, I gotta have kids. Why? I gotta have kids, I gotta have kids, I gotta have kids. Why do you have to have kids? I gotta have kids, I gotta have kids, Yeah, I don't think you're doing your own thing then. I mean, if you're having kids for ego, or to be your slave, or to satisfy some sort of delusion that you have that you're going to make some great kid, and then his name will be great, and that way your name will be great, or some kind of bullshit, and you're going to tell me that's a higher order thought? No, I'd say that's about as low order as you can get.
Ethics take this to the degree. They rebel. They often don't even eat. They starve themselves to death. Or certainly they're vegetarians. And they don't go in for consumerism. They just, they withdraw from natural life. I mean, that's a relatively supernatural thing. I mean, animals don't tend to do that. They're programmed to play.
Yeah, whatever. Again, the fact that human beings can do silly things doesn't mean human beings are doing better things. All right, so there's no point in this comparison. Compare the crude forces that animals can't escape to the silly forces human beings fall for. Really isn't some sort of like, oh yeah, now it makes sense. No, that's another kind of failure. Being controlled by crude forces is failure. Being controlled by silly forces is failure.
Their roles, their evolutionary function. And we clearly don't have to perform those roles. We are not puppets or robots to that extent. We often behave as if we were puppets.
Yeah, that's right. We spend preposterous, the average wedding, $20,000. For what? Oh, because we like to waste money. That's right. Yeah. Everything our culture does, you take away all these instruments. I mean, a huge amount of waste. Waste everywhere for silly, stupid things. To exercise nationalistic, racist, clanist fucking ambitions. That's it. The crudest of ambitions, crudest bigotries exercised at huge expense. Yeah. Baseball.
Robots, because we also are animals. Our bodies are, biological things. We are primates. That's true. But the brain, our brain makes us complex and godlike, and
whatever, godlike. The human brain has. They haven't. What humans have done with their brain is not much more than as I've metaphored it. It's no better than give a gorilla a brain, and what's it going to do with it? It's going to hammer nails with it. That's all humans have done with their brain. They've just used it as a scheming device to satisfy their bigotries and their personal ambitions and their selfish desires and the babble they've been traditionally brought up to bow to. They're fucking slaves of their traditions and their culture. Don't talk to me how they're rising above anything or transcending. With a crock of shit.
Kill a god. It's ultimately evil and unforgivable in its own right. That's why murder is so disgusting. I mean, just to say that all life is equally valuable because, we all feel pleasure and pain, well, that's not quite right. I mean, there are degrees of suffering, and some animals have more potential than others.
Says you, based on what authority? How do you know? How many days have you lived as a gorilla? How many days have you lived as a pig? Where do you get that from? How do you know what they feel? Where do you claim the right to diminish it? Really. Because I think I'm smarter than you, does that mean I feel more than you? Because I think it? I just have to believe I'm smarter than you. And therefore, I'm better. Is that all it takes?
I mean, I am not a vegetarian, but I sympathize with vegetarians.
Well, yes, that's just more of the standard operating procedure. I sympathize. Oh, I feel your pain. Haven't we heard that shit before? Change, whatever. The lies. That's just a political statement. I sympathize. I couldn't give a shit, but I sympathize. Yeah, well, fuck your sympathy then. Fuck you. You should be killed in a stampede of pigs. A stampede of pigs should stomp you to death with your sympathy. And they should be singing this sympathy song. I sympathize, as they stomp you into the fucking goddamn mud.
If I had to kill a living, an animal to eat, I would feel very bad about it. I might not be able to do it. I mean, I feel for all animals.
Yeah, so you go hire an assassin to go do your work for you, and therefore you're the honorable man. No, you're the gutless shit fucking asswipe. I mean, that's just why admit something like that? I mean, what you couldn't sit there and highlight the deficit of your character any more clearly, right? You've just shown yourself to have this huge deficit in character, and you're talking about your transcendence. You're talking about how we have done this and we have done that. What have you done? You've transcended, understanding of the word hypocrisy. Shit.
Not insects or spiders. I really can't stand those things, but still, in principle.
Oh, gee. Well, that's such a standard you have. I can't stand them. Therefore, that sounds a little bit like bigotry, fuckhead.
I can see the point that, all living things are precious.
Precious, like the little ring in the movie. Precious. It's all precious. Yeah, it's just stupid. Living things aren't precious. Feelings are precious.
But, sorry, there's a difference between human beings and animals. I mean, I like to...
Without sorry, you don't have any authority to make that statement whatsoever, so you're just talking out of your ass like an arrogant motherfucking religious cunt. God says so. That's all you just said here, jackass. You have absolutely no evidence for these claims that the sentient experience of the common mammal is inferior to what you superhumans are doing with all your raw SpongeBob finger thingy at the ball game. Don't be telling me that the asshole sitting there at the old fucking Super Bowl rooting for his fucking jackass team with his fucking little teeny dick is a grander organism. Fuck you.
Talk about how animalistic we are, and I don't like the fact about it, but it's true that we also have a potential for a higher way of life. And that's our personhood.
Yeah, well, it's a pile of shit. There's no evidence of your personhood. There's just a lot of commoditizing of people's personhood. Every fucking day, people use other people to their advantage every fucking day. There's no sincerity in any of this crap you're talking about, this phantasmagorical, silly life you think the human race is destined for. So you're just a liar, and you're going to insult and malign animals to escape your responsibility. So fuck you.
Our mentality again, and I want to make the best of that. To create...
Well, you're inevitably going to fail, and that's the only good news here. It's just that you're going to kill and harm and torture a bunch of organisms before your failure is complete. And that's the sad, tragic part. This isn't about the fact that whether you're going to fail or not. You're destined for failure, fuckhead. It's just how big your failure is going to be. How many people are you going to drag down into the sewer with you, into your stupid, idiotic, unrealistic hope hell? How many fucking sentient beings are you going to drag into your hope hell? Fucking cunt.
Our full potential. And I think there's a lot, I'll say more about this in another video, this alternative to ultra-pessimism, this positive, this constructive path that I'm trying to work out, this constructive philosophy, not just criticizing everything, but coming up with, a positive way to live, given all the bad things about life. I just think there's this other way to go, and Inmendham doesn't do justice to it. Anyway, I'll...
yeah, whatever.
That's it for now.
Daydreamer,
I've run out of
bullshitter,
so, and my
hope
throat hurts,
seller.
so I will see you in the next video.
Yeah, whatever. Can't wait. Yeah, I guess I could wait. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, well, fine. Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear your brilliant strategy, how you're gonna migrate the human race to your better little world, and that you're gonna have some sort of better life in your little, whatever you're gonna do. Play pachinko or something. What the hell are you gonna do? Faker. Anyway, yeah, no chance. So there was some other guy's video. I might as well acknowledge this guy's video just because it was funny. So he's some kind of lazy narcissist. So I generally don't like narcissists, but and he didn't really. He was just talking about circumcision again, and me and anti-bullshit man. So he's about 5 years behind. Yeah, so it is kind of funny. He's like doing current events from like 3 years ago, and so he's really lazy because he's like 3 years behind on what's going on the internet. So anyway, it was just kind of funny. So it's not really relevant though, so I shouldn't bother with that. It's not really relevant. Ooh, I should have kept this other video open, right? Because I wanted to do the comments. Right? I did want to do that, didn't I? Yes, I did. I believe I've lost it. I have to reload it again. Well, I'll just load the comments real quick. We'll just go through them quickly, I think. Or something like quickly. Or maybe 50. Wow, that's a lot of comments for a crappy video. Crappy from my perspective. Deterministic 1. Let's see what he said. Sometimes he pisses me off. Procreating takes an unnecessary risk with the welfare of another. If you fertilize an ovum, well, he's doing his fertilized ovum thing. That does get a little bit too personal or something. Ah, this Blackbeard guy's a real cunt. Inmendham sees all suffering as problematic and unacceptable, which is bullshit. Well, it's not even true anyway, but whatever. As they say, no pain, no gain. Well, who says that, generally speaking? Oh, that's right, retards and morons and idiots. So, yeah, that's really stupid. And especially when you're imposing pain on something else, then that statement really just turns you into a sadistic fuck. Take weightlifting. No, why should I? You want to be a weightlifter? Again, if you want to do this to yourself, go ahead and do it to yourself, you crazy idiot. It's not about you, you jackass. It's about what you have a right to impose, fuck for brains. In order to develop muscles, you have to train hard and go through the burn. Right, and the burn is called the burn because it has this interesting, it's an interesting sensation, right? It's kind of painful and pleasurable, you know, pushing yourself to those limits. Sex can be extremely exhausting, but you enjoy it, right? The burn could be seen as a form of suffering. Well, that's not the form everybody else here is talking about. No one's talking about your burning bullshit. No one's talking about something you self-imposed or you have self-control over. We're talking about exactly the opposite kind of sufferings. The sufferings that are, you know, your fingers getting eaten away by frostbite or something, or some other kind of horror. Jackass. But equally, it can become a pleasure. One can come to enjoy suffering, especially if that's suffering. Well, good. I hope you get all the suffering. I hope you get more suffering than you can handle. I hope you get all. I mean, if there was a God or there was some sort of force, yeah, I wish I would pay real money. I'd pay whatever karma points I had to pay just for whoever it is that did dish it out to make sure it's dished on you. Okay, if you're going to talk arrogant about what a joy it is to have cancer, you should have cancer. All right, I hope you get a big giant brain cancer. I hope it shoves the eyes right out of your fucking goddamn head. I hope you get nothing but the worst, motherfucker. All right, anyway. Let's see. I'm always fascinated when a newcomer shows up on the scene and has the idea of Inmendham and then makes the mistake of engaging him only to find themselves ridiculed and insulted. The following link should be mandatory reading. Oh, what a pile of crap. Internet super, Jesus. Let's see, what is this? Encyclopedia Dramatica Inmendham. Oh, so you're one of those guys of the highest integrity. You post to Encyclopedia Dramatica articles. You know, they haven't updated that shit in like 7 years. So what's the point? Coward. I mean, really, what a weasel. Super Jesus. Yeah. Alright, anti-bullshit man. In 1 minute in, and you've said anti-nihilist is the view that all human life should be terminated, which is an understandable misconception given that, one, here you're tracking Inmendham, who has been uttering the word anti-natalism for 3 years now and has successfully presented the position in his singular light, even going so far as to believe, oh, anti-bullshit man, you're such an asshole, that people who have only one child are already behaving like anti-natalists. Well, they are behaving like anti-natalists because they would not sustain population if it was up to them. So that's pretty much behaving like an anti-natalist. Yes, that's exactly how anti-natalists behave. They have less children than replacement population, guaranteeing their decline. While child-free individuals who actually do self-identify as anti-natalists, but who aren't negative utilitarians, aren't really anti-natalists. Well, whatever. I don't even know what all this crap. I've never made those distinctions, but fuck you. If you see the obvious problems with stuff like this, you'll pick up on why anti-natalism and desired extinctionism don't have to overlap. Well, I just don't, whatever. I've already made my separation from you cowards on this subject of the fact that the argument's about the nature of life itself, not human life. Since procreation is... Oh, look at all this crap. We're not reading all of this shit. Since procreation is commonly thought of as being interwoven with survival and inimical to extinction, the boxed-in view of AN as life termination has enjoyed a stranglehold over the discourse in some other circles as well. I don't think it's that. Anti-natalism is a pretty simple term. I mean, really. Anti-procreation. I mean, you can't do it. What? It's pretty obvious. Anyway, what an asshole. Alright, let's see what this asshole ranty... Oh, the asshole ranty guy posted a whole pile of crap, too. Actually, I meant to add an annotation on the very point of defining AN, but YouTube annotations seem to be presently out of service. Well, that would have been just swell. Annotations are so much fun. Anyway, I agree that, strictly speaking, AN is the view that procreation is wrong. Well, whatever. And I also agree... Well, it took you an hour to paraphrase it then? I mean, how come it took you a half hour to describe my position when you're just basically saying, oh yeah, anti-natalism means procreation is wrong. Yeah, okay, and you could explain why procreation isn't wrong, why it's the right thing to do, but you didn't do that. I agree also that someone could be opposed to being a parent for lots of reasons. Yeah, but that would be dishonest anyway. As I say in the video, though, I'm interested in AN only as a moral position. Well, again, morality is a bullshit world. People's idiosyncratic or practical reasons against having kids aren't relevant. Well, I think they are relevant because that's all you've got is a bunch of nonsense reasons for why people do have kids. A bunch of ego gratification crap. You haven't got anything called a logical reason. So, yeah, you're done anyway. Yeah, completely. Alright, let's give this something else a little briefer here. By the way, I really like the emphasis on nature versus culture. I think it nicely illustrates your point of disagreement with Inmendham as well as what you can agree on. Yeah, well, I don't think it did any use whatsoever. Culture? What culture are you speaking of? Like, what cultures? Again, show me these brilliant cultures out there. Sorry, I don't see it. I mean, really. The George Bush culture? The Obama culture? What culture is so brilliant? I think you make a big mistake using the word transcendence. Let's look at the definition. Surpassing others, preeminent or supreme, lying beyond the ordinary range of perception, being above and independent of material universe. Yeah, well, transcendence is a big pile of shit of a word. Okay, I agree that other animals use tools, including octopi and chimpanzees. Well, I don't even know if that's true, but whatever. The difference is building tools, creating tools, and using tools are two different things anyway. The difference is certainly one of degrees, though. And there are also differences in kind having to do with our language and reckless curiosity. And reckless, you're calling it reckless. And our scientific methods. Well, you mean scientific methods of torture? You mean Mengele? Is that what you mean? Systematic objective inquiry. Well, no one's doing any of that. You're obviously not being very systematic when you do a video explaining why people shouldn't be anti-natalists, and yet you don't make a single argument explaining why they should be pro-natalists. I mean, beyond the silliest of arguments, which is human beings are someday going to be magic flying green mushrooms. And, yeah, the universe loves green mushrooms. Transcendence is an implication of natural creativity. Well, that's what's the correct shit. As soon as you see that nature creates itself, developing from the state of another, because matter is animated by energy and natural forces, you should see that nature is currently transcending itself, creating new patterns. Well, that's just absolute crap. The pattern is quite obvious. Consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. You're full of shit. Anyway. Well, I think Ben's arguments against anti-natalism are better than most. Well, you're kind of stupid to think that. I still don't find them convincing. I think they make much better anti-suicidal arguments. I don't think they do that either. He would probably be a great suicide hotline operator. Well, I don't know. That just sounds almost insidious to me. Oh yes, we have to convince the suffering people to stay on Earth longer and suffer more. Sorry, fail. I don't know about that. Imagine the pressure when you're on the line with someone hanging on to life by a thread, you yourself holding your hand, and you would be tough line of work. Well, if you take it at all seriously, yeah, because you're convinced somebody to live, you're sort of responsible for whatever doom befalls them. So, but you wouldn't do that if obviously it's only the selfish motherfucking cunt bastards who could take that kind of job, because obviously they don't see any implications, they don't see any obligations. So, Do in the Morning, who is just such a skanky cunt. It is refreshing to see Inmendham's simplistic view of the world reviewed with great patience, intelligence, knowledge, sanity, and most of all, great philosophical acumen. Saved on my list of anti-epilism. And thanks very much for the kind words. You mean the just complete, whatever you want to call that. Yeah. I don't want to see the porn film, though. It's just a simplistic argument. So Do in the Morning, who touts herself as being some sort of, evolutionist, accepts this notion of the phantasmagorical superhuman truth future. She's one of them. She's one of those master racists. Yeah. Anyway. You argue that there's no rules to the game, but there clearly are. All sentient beings are programmed to seek out pleasure and avoid pain. The ability to forego small, immediate pleasures for the sake of pleasuring greater pleasures is not equivalent to rebelling against the rules of the game. Anti-natalism have not overcome the rules. That's 150 million lines. Look at all of this crap. I mean, amazing. People read all this shit? Oh, come on. Anyway. Hello. You address Inmendham's position rather well for a newcomer. Yeah, right. Some more phantasmagorical magic. The opinion of culture is off the table. The option of culture is off the table. Inmendham has addressed this many videos and has, in his opinion, was derived from David Benatar and Arthur Schopenhauer. Well, that's all bullshit. I never read Benatar or Schopenhauer before I started making videos. Culture and aesthetics are merely a representation of animalism, a new metaphoric synthesis as opposed to an alternate to the game. Well, they're all going to be just satisfactions and gratifications of personally conditioned aesthetics, and those personally conditioned aesthetics mean as little as the Red Sox winning the World Series or the Yankees winning the World Series. There is no empirical better truth there. And the same is true of our conditioned preferences. They mean nothing. Our aesthetic values are just bullshit. The fact that we feel things like pride is important. but what makes us feel it is not. Anyway, I guess I've had enough. I don't really want to go through all this crap. Tired and depressed and sick of it all anyway. So that's pretty much where I am right now. Yeah. Ugh. So, till next time. So, now cut your break. Yeah, it's only a 50-minute video, right? 45. Well, there's only going to be 5 more minutes on the camera anyway. So it's a good time to quit. So, I don't think there's any other news. So till next time, such. Yeah, nothing else to say, really. I think I said all that needs to be said, I think.